CyberTruck will cost half the competition. Here's why, with the math at the end. So what makes up the cost of your next electric truck? Wheels, tires, and suspension, batteries and motors, frame and body, glass, driver assist, if it exists, interior, and paint, for the most part. Some elements are going to cost the same no matter who builds it. The wheels, tires, and suspension all come from the same suppliers, so there's no real room for savings there, but that's where the similarities end. Batteries and motors. Well, this is a big one. Nobody has decent batteries as cheap as Tesla's 2170s, and those are yesterday's news. New hotness is the 4680s, which will be significantly cheaper still. More efficient motors with better batteries mean they don't need as many to achieve the same range, and that reduces the weight, further reducing the need for a larger battery pack. This creates a knock-on effect, since you can then use cheaper tires, wheels, brakes, and suspension to achieve the same end goal, even if you decide not to. The Hummer EV is likely to outweigh most cars on the road, if not the planet, including their bloated namesake internal combustion rigs, and that's not ideal. If you're using yesterday's tech, you're paying the price for it. If the battery costs $20,000 to get the range you need, you can't sell a $40,000 truck. You'd be lucky to sell a $40,000 go-kart with a $20,000 battery, since you still need to turn a profit. Tesla has better cell chemistry from their in-house R&D, better manufacturing techniques from their acquisition of Highbar and Maxwell technology, economies of scale from having an order backlog sufficient to absorb as much production as they could make, and the benefit of vertical integration to cut out the middlemen at every step of the process. The Tesla batteries should cost half of what other companies have to pay, before even mentioning the fact that the battery pack isn't something added in and added on, but a structural component. So let's get to that. Frame and body. The CyberTruck won't have a frame like a traditional truck. The exoskeleton is the frame. Trucks typically have a solid steel frame to attach all the pieces to, but it's still a lot of parts. The truck bed, for example, is stamped from many pieces which are joined together by a series of robots. The cab is made the same way. Many pieces requiring significant time and cost to assemble by a series of robots, and some of those robots are as cheap as $50,000, while some are closer to $1 million a pop. They're all expensive. And most trucks combine the worst of both worlds. They're basically a unibody car placed on top of a solid steel frame. Well, CyberTruck skips the frame and skips a few other steps as well. Based on what we've seen, the CyberTruck will be comprised of 4 major pieces, similar to the next generation models 3 and Y, which we're already seeing out of Shanghai and soon to be Berlin. So forgive the simplicity of my illustration, but it was the best way I could figure out how to get there without an actual dedicated animation team. Tesla uses gigacastings for the front and rear sections rather than stamped, riveted, and welded pieces. So if it's going to use a single rear casting, a single front casting, and a structural battery that connects them with a single sheet of origami-style folded stainless steel on top, you're down to 4 major parts. All of this combines to reduce weight, cost, and complexity without compromising on safety or performance. Millions in complicated robots are simply gone. The time spent calibrating and recalibrating them is gone. The space required to house them is gone. This massively simplified process will reduce cost, reduce manufacturing time, reduce error rates, and require factory floor space that is substantially smaller. This is the super simple Jeep of the modern era, and every other manufacturer is looking on with equal parts curiosity, apprehension, jealousy, and fear. If it works, the legacy guys are going to be in serious trouble. Because not only will Tesla be manufacturing at half the price, they'll be manufacturing at twice the speed. The glass. It's a better glass. I mean, it's not quite as giant steel ball proof as you might like, and there's a ton of it, but it's also flat. Flat glass is easier, cheaper, and quicker to make than curved glass with vastly less out-of-tolerance waste product. Driver assist, and I know, a lot of companies are not doing this, or certainly not doing it well. And while we don't know all the costs for driver assistance and autonomous offerings by the rivals, and we can't because, for the most part, again, they just don't exist, we do know what Tesla uses, and the costs are low. 8 cameras on par with what they used to put in your old phone in your pocket, 1 radar, and a shockingly powerful computer that they built in-house. The biggest cost of a computer like that is building the first one, with each one after it bringing down the average price. Buy that from NVIDIA and you'll make NVIDIA very rich, or buy it from yourself and keep the margin for yourself. They've already manufactured and installed hundreds of thousands of these industry-leading computers, so it's a pretty streamlined operation. Chips get cheaper with scale, and the scale is already massive. Tesla's FSD-ready suite already costs less than the vastly inferior components available to all of their competitors. In terms of the interior, Tesla is among the elite few automakers who actually make some of their own components, like the seats, eliminating the middleman and passing the savings on to you. Yeah, TV commercials. Good times. Plus, the stark, brutalist interior is sure to shave a few bucks off the cost of the interior, especially considering you got a cardboard dashboard. Then it heads to the paint shop, which Sandy Monroe from Monroe & Associates estimates costs over $5 million to install. It was $5 million, wasn't it, Sandy?
The reason that DeLorean went with the stainless steel was the same reason that we see the stainless steel CyberTruck. And that was to try and figure out how to eliminate the $500 million plus that you're going to have to spend in order to get paint.
Oh, that's right. It costs a company $500 million to install a paint shop. But the CyberTruck doesn't have paint. That entire step is gone. If you're only going to make 500 trucks, you're saving $1 million a piece. But I'll let you do the math from there. So let's look at some of the cost savings as we head on to the actual math. But first, a big thanks to my first ever Patreon supporters, David Rathje at the cool level and Russell Dixon at the very cool level for supporting the channel, as well as my 595 subscribers. I don't know who you clever robots are, but I'm so glad you're here. Most of what I put on Patreon doesn't cost anything, so check it out if you want. See what's going on behind the scenes, get some more information, whatever. But again, just glad you're here. So here are the savings. If you get rid of the steel frame, that's $2,000 off. Vastly superior batteries saves 10 grand. Mega castings saves 3 grand. The lack of stamping saves 4 grand. The lack of paint saves 2 grand. Making your own seats and having simplified glass saves another $500. Having FSD ready cars at a $10,000 upcharge with a 20% take rate adds 2 grand to the bottom line. And then just for fun, let's remove the $630 a manufacturer typically spends on advertising. That's over $24,000 in savings right there. That's how Tesla can build and sell a capable, competent electric truck for half what the competition can hope to offer. Let me know in the comments what I'm missing or misunderstanding, but I mean, this is just kind of like pretty basic math, I think. It's a brutalist design for sure, but is it ugly? I mean, that's up for debate. On the night of its debut, an easy 70 to 90% of viewers thought so, myself included, but it grows on you, like very radical design iterations often do. And if that design can knock 15 grand off the sticker price while increasing range and performance, it's a much easier sell. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up if you appreciate the video, and subscribe if you're not already. It's the only way YouTube knows to share this with others who share the same fascination as you and me. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to see you clever robots on the flippity flop.